first session, Kaplan and Norton's balanced scorecard. So much like Elkington's triple bottom line, TBL, it's another one of those models that looks at the overall performance of a business. And when I say overall, it includes the economics, it includes the financials, the profits, for example, but it looks at other things on top of that. So when we're thinking about Kaplan and Norton's balanced scorecard, they see the idea that you need to look at 4 different areas. Firstly, of course, financial perspective. And essentially, they ask the question, how do we look to our shareholders? It might be in terms of sales growth, in terms of operating income, and in terms of return on capital employed. But we're looking on at things beyond just the financials here. So the second category is customer perspective. So what's important to our customers? Maybe the percentage of sales from new products. Is new products exciting, innovative new products? Are they important to customers? Or just simply loyalty? The next is internal business process performance. So we think about the internal business process performance. The question really is, what must we excel at? What must we get better at? It might be more product introduction, some new product offerings. The next category, and the final category, is learning and growth perspective. So how can we continue to improve and to innovate? It might be that you look at your products, your new product releases we discussed here, but you want to lengthen the product life cycles, because if you lengthen the product life cycles, then you're going to lengthen the amount of sales that you generate. So these are each of the 4 areas of the balanced scorecard. Things to note. So why it's good, it gives managers a clear idea of what the strategy is, because you look at each of these 4 areas. And when you've done that, you're going to essentially find where you stand. And if you find where you stand, you know where you need to improve. And if you know where you need to improve, you will then put targets in place, which is extremely important for this model. So you'll put targets in place. But the critical thing with Kaplan Norton's balanced scorecard is that they are quantifiable. They are measurable targets that you'll put in place in each of these categories. So Kaplan Norton suggested following this approach, that you'd have under each category of the 4 an objective, measures, target and initiatives approach. So we'll take an example for financial perspective. So the objective could be increased liquidity, very poignant at the moment in today's era where there's lots of cash poor companies. So objective to increase liquidity, measures for that would obviously be the current ratio. And for that, maybe they would have really push up their current ratio and they want to get it to a quantifiable target of 2-to-1. Initiatives, how are they going to do that? How are they going to pump up that liquidity, pump up that current ratio? Well, they might just do a simple look at those creditor days and try and extend them out, and look at those debtor days and try and reduce them down. So they're getting the money in quicker and they're letting the money roll out slower, the cash flow that is. And the next one is customer perspective. So when we think about customer perspective, an example of objectives, measures, target initiatives could be to try and increase on-time delivery. Could be online delivery, and they look to make that measurement within 24 hours, and the target is 95% of all of those orders are within 24 hours. And how you do that, how you could fulfill that and make that important step towards your customers, it could be that you use increased warehouse automation. We're seeing many of the large corporations now are moving to automated warehouses because they are more efficient and they work more hours than perhaps the labour force could do. So that's one way maybe you could please your customers. The next is internal business process perspective. So if we're thinking about what we must excel at, it may be that the objective of the business is to reduce their labour turnover. Measures for doing that, it may be they're doing that on a yearly basis, on an annual basis, and they want a target of 30%. They want their labour turnover at 30%. Maybe they want to really try and bring that down. Initiatives to do that, maybe they put some incentives in place. Maybe they offer market-leading pay. The next we're going to look at is learning and growth perspective. So an example of an objective here is you could try and reduce your product development times. And so when you think about your product development to your release to the market, you reduce that time. So you become the first to the market and you might get first mover advantage off the back of that. Targets to do that, it may be that you say you're going to reduce your average time from development to release by 50%. And maybe initiatives to do that would be introduce more lean design or introduce more critical path analysis and use more network analysis. More details on that, the car's going to come up there. Anyway, I hope that helps, and I'll see you at the next sesh.